This is Tommy Quick.
I woke up one morning, had a massive headache. Escalated until I passed out. I woke up 5 weeks, 2 days later from an induced coma. Didn't know where I was and what had happened to me. Because I was at the time accepting everything. There was a lot of not believing that this was real. If I pressed that button, everything would reset kind of attitude.
An exceptional human being who doesn't let his disability define him.
And he looked at me, looked at the trike outside and looked at me again and said, "Why don't you ride around Australia?" Foremost extreme points of mainland Australia, that had never been done, well, from what I knew.
And even when raising awareness for his disability while riding around Australia, he was met with even more physical hurdles.
3 days into that ride, I got hit by a car. So that put a stop in my steps, or stop in my pedals. So I essentially had to learn to walk again for the third time. Because when you're a baby, you learn to walk. Then stroke, had to learn to walk. Car ride, had to learn to walk.
Let's allow Tommy to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Tommy Quick, and at the age of 12, I suffered a stroke at the time. So I woke up one morning, had a massive headache, and I went into my parents' bedroom, and just escalated until I passed out. I woke up 5 weeks, 2 days later from an induced coma. Didn't know where I was and what had happened to me. And essentially I was rightfully so scared, confused, and didn't believe it was real. So the comprehension of not being able to advocate for myself, not being able to speak for myself, not even being able to lift my head up, it was a serious struggle. I had to relearn all that. And I think the doctors were surgeons who operated on the joint twins. You might remember, they were on television and stuff back in 2006. And said I couldn't run when I asked that question, but I thought it was fine, that it was very unlikely that I would run again, which in 2009 I proved it wrong. So I like proving people wrong. And the way I went about running again and learning to run again was by accident. I was training with my physio and he asked me to do a long jump, and I did the long jump and I just kept stumbling on. So that's how I learned to run. But one of my mates who saw it on Facebook described me as more of a gallop. So it was very very rewarding, I would say. So my stroke was hemorrhagic, so there was a bleed on the brain. I think it was subarachnoid something, but I couldn't tell you. It affected my left side of the brain, right side of my body. Obviously it affected my speech. My speech was the spot where the most affected area of the brain. And now it's my best quality. I like to think so. People might say different. My first memory that I really remember vividly it was actually during the coma, like in a dream, but it was actually more like a nightmare where I was like vividly digging my own grave, essentially. From that, like I can remember my grandma talking to me, reading Harry Potter, and I was hearing that during the coma. And then, because I was like at the time accepting everything, um, there was a lot of like not believing that this was real. Like if I pressed that button, everything would reset kind of attitude. And on that, like I went, so the physios got me to walk on a gutter frame, and I tripped over my own feet. Naturally, the physios caught me. Me being me, however, like I dropped like a sack of spuds, and like I just refused to give things another go. And so they took me back to the wards room, and from then on, like I think the doctors talk to the doctors, nurses talk to the nurses, and facilitated more uh, psychology approach. So they got a counselor in and stuff, and that was pretty helpful too. So I was in year 7, and term 2 when I suffered the stroke, April the 6th, 2006. And from that, I, I essentially missed school for that entire year. And also when I was in the hospital, Raf, my home group teacher, brought in 2 students every week to engage with me and to talk to and stuff. So I think that was really helpful. At the time, I didn't understand, didn't comprehend it. Looking back, it's a big thank you to Ralph and Nathaniel. Yeah, but I missed that entire year of school apart from work. I went back to year 8 straight away, straight back into school full time. So during those 5 weeks, my parents, being that the physio said to my dad, was like, I'll be lucky to walk into the MCG unassisted. And so that was what my dad told me. Yeah. And I've gone and done Kokoda, so I kind of proved them wrong also. So when I did Kokoda, like we had porters carrying all our equipment and stuff. But what it ended up actually being was me holding the porter's arms. So Tony was on my left, Ernest was on my right, and yeah, like it was just it was a long, grueling, like really grueling experience, but it was really worthwhile as well. And like I reckon Tony he had big forearms then, but he would have had bigger forearms afterwards, because the way I was holding him was on his forearm, and his forearm was up like tense the whole time. Yeah. The reason why the MCD was so important was because Aaron Davey and Daniel Wells through friends relations, they actually came in and saw me in the hospital and got photos and everything. And like from that encounter, I wanted to watch all the Melbourne Football Club grand finals on DVD, but like trying to convey that into like saying that I wanted this was so hard. And from that encounter, I learned my first word, no. Because of the amount of frustration that I was drawing circles to imply that I wanted a DVD and I wanted to watch Melbourne Football Club. I think I had to jump at Melbourne and trying to associate that from that, and that I wanted to watch the Melbourne Grand Finals on DVD, but like I just couldn't explain it to the people who were in the room, which was my parents, my aunt, the nurses, and like it took 3 days for me just saying again and again, no, no, not one, no, no. So by the end of it, I actually got to say no. So it was kind of a good outcome, but in those 3 days, it was the most frustrating, sheer frustration of my life. My self-advocacy, like trying to convey and wanting to highlight that this is not what I want. I think self-advocacy is such an important thing, and for people who can't speak, like me at that situation in that time, you feel helpless. You feel like you can't say anything, and rightfully so. And like with my trike, like now I couldn't. So how that came about was, so I went for my L's test, and we did the L's test, yeah, and I had to have an OT assessment where the driver took me out on the roads with an OT, and like the assessment of whether I could drive was made. And I was like, because my local area is around Ascot and Essendon, there was a major roundabout that I had to drive through, and I sped through the pedestrian sign on the roundabout because like there was so much processing going on. I was like, what the hell is going on? And like, and then after that encounter with the driving instructor and the OT, the driving instructor, when I got out of the car, it was like, oh, you fit to drive? And I'm like, no, I'm bloody not. And so I chose to go in other directions. I still wanted that independence and that mobility. So I knew I couldn't ride a bike. Well, with a hell of a lot of practice, I might be able to. You never know. You never know what's on the horizon. Well, actually, I had a sport recreational person at the time, and he said, "Oh, why don't you try a recumbent trike?" And that was in 2017. And so from there, I acquired the trike with the help of my OT, who is really good. And so I acquired the trike, more for the sense of independence and freedom of getting that A to B. So I was catching up coffee with a mate, and I decided to ride over there. And we were having a conversation about goals and like ambitions after uni, because I was doing nutrition, human nutrition degree and stuff. And he looked at me, looks at the trike outside, and looks at me again and said, "Why don't you ride around Australia?" So, like, from that encounter, that thought stayed in my mind for a little while, and just from there, that thought grew bigger and bigger until like I decided that like I wanted to do it. So we refined it, because like riding around the show is 15,000 Ks. So I was like, maybe that's a bit much. So we actually changed it to the four most extreme points of mainland Australia. That is, had never been done, well, from what I knew, of riding, a person with a disability riding on a recumbent trike 9,000 Ks across Australia. And so yeah, so that's how the 4 points came about. And then in COVID times, I shouldn't have said that. COVID times. Like we got out of Victoria and we started the journey. We ideally wanted to start on my 28th birthday, but that didn't happen because we couldn't get across the borders. Very annoying, but so like from the SAW border, we rode from there to Cow, which is in the Eyre Peninsula. And then we went down to Port Lincoln, did some media there. Then we shot through into the SAW border, and we travelled up to Steep Point and rode down through Merredin, Kalgoorlie, Norseman, and across the Nullarbor to the SAW border. And so we made it. Just it took a lot longer. It took there was a lot of stress involved and stuff. And then 3 days into the ride from Muntu Bay, which is on the other side, I think it's on York Peninsula. 3 days into that ride, I got hit by a car. So that put a stop in my steps, or stop in my pedals. So I essentially had to learn to walk again for the third time, because when you're a baby, you learn to walk. Then stroke, had to learn to walk. Car ride, had to learn to walk with a smashed pelvis, like broken in 4 places on my right side, a fractured sacrum, hairline fracture in my femur, and stuff. So it wasn't ideal, and that's for the stop in my steps, or whatever that saying is. And like it was more mechanical this time, so I learned to walk again probably much faster, but because my pelvis had been displaced. I got a bit of nerve pain that would shoot into my leg whenever, and that was painful. But thank God that's been cured. Yeah, and it's still an ongoing recovery. Like I'll have to learn to walk. Well, I'll be learning to walk for the rest of my life. After a year of recovery from the car crash, we set off again from Melbourne to Wilson's Prom as a test drive just to see if I had the capability and still had the want to continue on the journey. I did. And so on the 24th of March 2023, so long ago, we set off from Melbourne, hit Cape Byron on the 6th of May, and then on to the tip of Cape York on my 30th birthday. So that was something really special on the 2nd of August. And then we travelled back down and did the Adelaide to Melbourne section. And we finished up on the 22nd of October. I'm surprised I can remember all that. And now we're taking on Tassie. But this time it's more about starting these conversations about inclusion and everyone's human. So obviously less commas because it's in Tassie. Very small state. Very, very small, but they've got big hearts. So it's less commas, more conversation, and a lot more hills. So a word that associates with me, when people say, not everyone, but some people see me as sympathetic or sympathy. And it can be assuming or assumptions that you can either act on or not. And I think the better word is empathy because to have empathy is to understand. To understand takes time. To take time, you've got to literally walk in someone's shoes or as close to someone's shoes as possible, or you can't walk in someone's shoes perfectly because it's a different person. You don't know how their brain works. So the point I'm getting at is those assumptions that someone can't do something should never be made, because you get proven wrong a lot of the time. To relate my disability with intersectionality or I feel that we are moving, as a general society, we are moving in the general right direction. But there's always the premise or association for me that people, again, make assumptions, or when I'm having a normal conversation with anyone, they talk down to me. For example, a few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with an acquaintance, and I was just having a general conversation, and he said something to me, and he grabbed my cheek, which to me is invading my space. But then again, he might have different cultural background. I don't really know. So I just wave at it. But if I didn't live with a disability now, I would be very unaware. I would probably be assumption bias. I definitely have seen a change in my family, friends, and more people understanding towards disability in general. Like the gym I go to, all my friends there, they're aware that a stroke can happen anytime, anywhere. But the understanding of what a disability is, and so they're spending more time with me, so they get more time to understand and walk in my shoes and and learn from us. At the end of the day, we're all human. Everyone's human, so it's my time to the ball of uncomfortable.
Has your stroke made you less intelligent?
I'd like to think not. No, it might take me a little bit longer to process the information, but it's still all up there. Still all up there.
Do you think your speech makes people think maybe you are?
Yes, I would say that. But then again, people should just ask me to repeat it or ask the question again or statement again, like my mum does all the time.
The world is so fast-paced. Do you find that people are losing patience for the time it takes for you to respond?
Yes. Yeah, straight answer to that, yes. I think that the world we live in these days is so fast-paced, especially in Melbourne. You go to Broome, super chill. Go to Darwin, super chill. That's where I want to go. If you want to follow my journey as we take on Tassie, the Listen Able team have put the links in the show notes.
Thank you so much for getting to the end of this episode with Tommy of Listen Able. It is just Angus here. I am in the ethos of the Listen Able studios, I promise. We're just kind of trying to get our schedules to align with Dylan. Good news, they have. We're locked in the diary, and in 2 episodes' time, everything is back to normal, and we're so excited for it. However, on the next episode of Listen Able, I'm going one-on-one with an absolute legend, Matt Formston. Can't wait for you to hear how a blind person surfs a 40-plus foot wave. We'll catch you then.